So yeah, my name is Richard Piertro, and for the last few years I've been creating what I like to call civic engagement as art, because I believe civic engagement is a bad brand. We need to rebrand civic engagement, because when you think of civic engagement, you think it's a duty or responsibilities. Judges even issue community service as civic engagement. So why would people want to be engaged when they have that mentality? So I try to reframe it as art, that it's a product of passion, that it's something that you create that was not there once before. Now, the terms open data were mentioned earlier, so I'm just going to take a couple moments to make sure that you're familiar with those terms. And the way I like to describe open data is it's technology, it's the car. It's, what kind of engine is it going to have? Is it a four-door? The tires, the color, it's the details. You may have also heard the term open government. Open government and open data are not synonyms. They work together, but they're not synonyms. So in this analogy, I like to call open government as the driver. How fast are you going to drive the car? Where are you going to drive the car? Are you going to maintain the car, right? It's the people. It's the people that are in this room right now. So based on that premise, the City of Toronto does have an open data catalog. Here's a quick example of a quick sort of page grab of some of the data sets that are available. And a data set is something that has to be machine readable, an Excel file, or an XML, or a JSON file. I'm getting into technical language here, but basically it has to be a file that a coder can use. A PDF is not an open data file or an open data set. It takes a lot of work. And what we've been doing at the Toronto Open Data Book Club is essentially looking at an open data set and thinking of it as a crayon. With this crayon, what can I draw with this? I can draw a house, I can draw a car, I can do a number of different things. So we try to see the potential, we try to bring the creativity around open data with the Open Data Book Club. And the way it's done is that every month we choose a data set, we spend that month, we develop, we work with it, and our members create visualizations and platforms and things of that nature. And for the last 2 years now, we've created a number of different tools. This is a quick sort of Google Doc of some of the more notable tools that have been created through the Open Data Book Club. And once again, we are not funded in any way, shape, or form. All this work is done sort of in our spare time. I am a waiter by trade, for example. But now we're going to get into some of the examples that we've done with relation to budget data in the City of Toronto. So about a year ago, we actually had the financial team, Alex Mozo, Paula Chung, Eric Frank, come into the Open Data Book Club, and we'll look at some of the budget data together. And one of our members created the capital budget and plan by ward data set. He took that data set from 2014 and just put it on a map. Because, and from our understanding, this is not a tool that is even, that counselors don't have access to. So right now what you're looking at is a capital budget and plan by ward for 2014 and going further for the entire city. Oh, there we go. For the entire city. And it's all powered by open data. And you can actually choose the different wards and click and see how that ward is spending its capital budget. I did a deputation about a year ago and actually showcased this tool to the counselors for executive committee, and they were like, do my ward, right? They don't have this tool, and this is something that was essentially created in somebody's sort of spare time. So we can see here for St. Paul, this CP15 redevelopment, there's $32 million that's going to it. There's work that's being done at Yonge Street south of Eglinton, $7 million. We can mix it up, we can go around, we get a quick visualization of how the capital budget plan is being allocated. Another tool that was created as well, one of the data sets that many people don't know exists is that essentially the City of Toronto has to kind of do its taxes with the province of Ontario. And that's done through something called the Municipal Financial Information Return. So we had, once again, people from the ministry come down, work with the Open Data Book Club, give us context, and we took that essentially tax return the City of Toronto does with the province and started working with it. And this is what one of our members created. And by the way, I should mention real quick, this tool was created by Reyes and Maev. The previous tool was created by a gentleman called David Zhao, and they're fantastic people. So real quick, what you're looking at right now, and this is once again dated back to 2014, you're looking at, in this quadrant here, the total expenses before adjustments by expense types. So essentially, we're looking at transit here. General assistance. And by the way, this terminology is straight out of the data set. So general assistance is a term not that Reyes chose, but that's how it's listed in the data set. You know, the police budget is $1 billion. And you can sort of go through it all like this and have a quick look at all the expenses in Toronto. But at the same time, you can look at user fees, right? Transit is almost half of the user fees that the City of Toronto collects. We have water distribution, wastewater collection and conveyance. We also have our revenue types, land transfer, rent, investment incomes, things of that nature. Another thing that Reyes put together was sort of a longitudinal look as to how the taxes have been sort of flowing. So we're seeing real quick here in 2012, there's this big drop in program support expenses in the City of Toronto. But at the same time, we had a bit of a rise in, I think it's assistance to aged persons. So real quick with this data, you can have an idea of a kind of like a pulse or of how the city's sort of working with its tools. And once again, all created by open data sets, provided by the city, and created by citizens. So with that being said, thank you very much for my demo. I'm going to pass it over to Henrik, who's going to go into his Budgetpedia tool.